This is the Surly Grognards for November 6th, 2017. This is Peter Bellman, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Eric Carlson. How are you doing tonight, Eric?
I'm doing all right. Holy shit, I
Excellent.
just realized I don't have any whiskey. I'll fix that right now.
Okay.
See, here's the great thing about keeping your whiskey next to your computer. It's right there.
Nice. I have no bourbon, so, I have no booze at all in the apartment right now, but that's fine.
That's a sad thing.
I'll
But
live. I'll live. We've been talking. We were sort of talking pre-show about Star Trek stuff because I've been playing I was playing Star Trek Online today, and there's been a really cool discussion going on in chat while I was playing it about various things about Star Trek, which I think is excellent. We're not going to be focusing the entire show on this because I do have some viewer questions I want to get to today.
yeah, because we've been really lax on those lately.
We've had a few of them, and I want to get to them. But one of the people in chat mentioned that some of us were sort of talking about how we're not big fans of Voyager, and one of our viewers, Trekkie Sith Girl, mentioned that she's a big Voyager fan and she absolutely loves Janeway, and that got us start talking about how great Kate Mulgrew is because she's great.
Yes.
And it got us onto and as much as I run Janeway down, I do. Some of what I do, I say, is probably unfair and is tainted by my general sort of not being a big fan of Voyager, honestly.
There's also a fair amount of good-natured ribbing, at least on my part, when it comes to Voyager.
Absolutely.
I mean, any show that has, like, an entire episode dedicated to somehow going infinite speed, which technically means you're everywhere all the time at once, it turns you into a giant space salamander. That is both awesome and stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, giant space salamander.
And they cured it by bombarding them with 0.52 AMUs of anti-proton radiation.
Which doesn't make any sense.
They're firing
it's like
anti-quarks at them.
tachyons. It's great.
They're firing anti-tachyons at anti-quarks and shit at them. It's like whatever. The science of it is dumb, but Star Trek science is often dumb. Let's be real here.
The technobabble is basically just like what sounds scientific at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. But we were sort of talking about some of our, like Eric's favorite Star Trek captain is Sisko, unsurprisingly.
Sisko's my guy. Not at all tainted by the fact that DS9 is my favorite Star Trek.
Right. My favorite Star Trek captain is Picard. Part of that's because Next Gen came on when I was like in 8th grade and going into high school.
Yeah. No, Next Gen is a big part of my childhood. Like,
right.
Wow, did I watch a lot of Next Gen when I was a kid. I love Next Gen. I loved it, especially when I was growing up.
Right. But yeah, like, I will say, as much as we knock Voyager, we mentioned this when we were doing our recap of like our favorite, how we did our ordering of our favorite Trek series, from least favorite to favorite. And interestingly, Voyager was neither of our least favorite. Both of our least favorite was Enterprise.
Yes,
and
which is largely just a lot of wasted potential and setting a low bar for itself.
There's a lot of stuff in Enterprise. Enterprise could have been really cool, actually, honestly.
Yeah, Enterprise could have been good if they had the ambition to be good.
If they tried to be good.
Yeah.
It was so just aiming for mediocre and hit it consistently, or occasionally not hitting it. And when you're aiming for mediocre and don't hit it,
you get a lot of shit.
At least Voyager fucking tried.
Voyager has some great episodes, like the I was watching it while painting minis the other day, and they did the one where they're trying to it's basically a heist movie for the first part of it, where they're trying to nick a transwarp engine from a disabled Borg sphere.
Oh, neat.
But which is kind of cool. But it turns out this was all a ruse by the Borg to get Seven back, because they wanted Seven's perspective on leaving the collective and then being joined back into the collective, being a Borg, becoming an individual, and then back again. They wanted that information and those insights.
Sure.
And that was really cool. Unfortunately, I had the Borg Queen again, which is possibly the biggest mistake they've ever done to the Borg. But
Possibly. Possibly.
but the idea was cool, and you get a lot of backstory about Seven and her general gigantic fucking hangups.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is a lot of how they figure out how to nick the transwarp's coil comes from her going through her parents' notes, which brings up a lot of not happy memories.
Right. Totally fair, too.
Yeah. For those who don't know, 709 is a liberated Borg that shows up in Voyager, who was assimilated when her parents were studying the Borg, and they fucked up, and they got both them and her. So she was like a wee little girl at the time.
Right. Well, you know.
Of course, I have to assume if you're watching us, you know what the hell Star Trek is. So
Probably.
yeah, it was a cool episode that falls apart as soon as the Borg Queen shows up, but tries to salvage it really well.
Yeah.
It's just you're stuck with the Queen, and my God, I hate the fucking Borg Queen.
I do too. We've mentioned that multiple times in the show. I mean, I will say,
and I'm the guy that likes the Dura sisters.
They're all right. Lursen and Batora were, again, like a bunch of characters they introduced, were better the first couple of times they showed up and began to wear thin.
Yeah.
The Borg Queen, I will say also, like, the first half of the two-parter where they introduced the Borg into Voyager was really good.
Yeah.
Despite the stupid scorpion and horse story that Chakotay told, the parable that is overdone.
Oh, poor Chakotay. There's another character that was a lot of wasted potential.
I agree.
To be fair, it's not them or the writer's faults. I remember reading somewhere that a lot of these, because trying to do a Native people's character on Star Trek, really cool, delving into his background and whatnot, and his culture, that's all really cool. But a lot of it's wrong because they got taken in by a con artist.
Really?
Yes. Apparently, the guy was like making the rounds or in the television scene for anytime someone wanted something on Native Americans and whatnot. That he just spouted a bunch of bullshit that he read in a travel brochure, and people took it as gospel because he looked vaguely Native.
Jesus.
Yes.
Oh. Damn, that's awful.
Yeah. Apparently a lot of stuff from the 90s, like some of the more painful stuff from the 90s, it's his fault.
I'm not surprised. But yeah, that first part of that two-parter, the Borg were the Borg again for one glorious episode. And then the Borg Queen shows up in the second episode and everything goes away again.
My problem with the Borg Queen is that she's unnecessary, and in putting a human face on the Borg, you remove the monolithic alien feel of them.
Yep.
Like, even the deal with the Locutus. Like, Locutus is still clearly just a mouthpiece.
Yes.
And then you have the Borg, the Borg Queen shows up, and it's like, Borg don't need a queen. Why the hell would the Borg need a queen? That's a heavy investment in resources in a single unit that doesn't do anything.
I mean,
it is illogical for the Borg.
The most interesting thing about the Borg is that they are a gestalt.
Yes.
And
this makes them incredibly alien while at the same time being familiar because they're all humanoids with surgical tubes glued on them.
Yeah.
Which does a great sort of uncanny valley plus spooky. It makes them eldritch.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. But, you know.
Yep. At any rate.
The Borg are kind of like robot insects, right? So they need a queen, right?
Yeah, no. No. Because they don't need a queen to reproduce, which is the whole point of a queen in an insect colony, you daft morons.
Yeah. I don't like the Borg Queen.
Neither of us do. I'm sure there's someone out there who does, but...
She's not the worst thing that ever happened to the Borg. That was Hugh.
I
really... the episode where Hugh, the friendly Borg, shows up has a lot of good stuff to it, like the ethical concerns and like there's this whole ethical argument between Geordi and Picard going back and forth over because they're going to use Hugh the friendly Borg as a stalking as a typhoid Mary with basically a computer virus that will shatter the collective. And there's a really cool like ethical argument going on there. And the problem is Hugh is just so relentlessly innocent and cute and just, oh my god. It's fucking saccharine.
Yeah, well, Hugh as a character is terrible. I'll agree with you on that point. But he leads to without Hugh, there's no Seven, and without them, there's no like the concept of the liberated Borg are actually an interesting idea.
Yes, no, I agree.
So I would go back to saying that while he's a worse character than the Queen is worse for the Borg than Hugh is.
I guess. I guess what I'm saying is that Hugh is the beginning of the end of the Borg.
Well, yeah, that's
as
true.
The big scary.
Sure, that's actually true. That there's no question about that. It wasn't helped by the episode after that with Lore getting a hold of the Borg.
Lore and the Lore and his religious psychopath Borg.
Well, that's largely due to the fact that Lore is actually largely a terrible character.
Yes.
It's evil Data! Why is there evil Data?
The whole it's an interesting take on the evil twin thing. Like particularly doing it with an android where you have the malicious prototype. That's kind of a neat idea and a neat way to do the evil twin thing, but I'm convinced the reason why Lore kept coming back is because Brett Spiner really liked being a mustache twirling villain.
Oh, sure, and I can't fault him on that, honestly. I really can't fault him on that.
No sane man can.
Not that Brett Spiner is sane, as near as I can tell. That dude is loony.
That's true for a lot of the Star Trek cast.
Yeah.
Like any Star Trek cast. Tends to attract a lot of crazy people, which is fine. They're all entertaining and fun.
But yeah, yeah.
Where were we going with this?
I don't know. We weren't really going much of anywhere with it, honestly. We're not doing a particularly constructed show this week, so,
right.
I just wanted to talk Star Trek a bit before we got into other stuff.
Cool.
Because
I will say Janeway does have some great lines.
Oh, like, God, yes.
Coffee in that nebula. That is a great line. And the way Kate Muldoon delivers it with just like a wry but definitely existing hunger. There's coffee in that nebula.
Oh boy. So yeah. Yeah. Long story short is we both love Star Trek. I will say this also. I gotta say I do love a lot of what they pulled off in Star Trek Online in terms of advancing the Star Trek main universe storyline past Voyager.
Yes. There's a lot of cool stuff in there.
There's a lot of bad stuff too. I mean, what do you expect? It's an MMO.
It's an MMO. There's going to be some bad shit, but there's a lot of really cool stuff in there, like the oh no, the Klingons and the Federation are at war again. Except it's actually a decent reason, and it gets resolved in the storyline. Where basically the Federation goes, "You were right all along. We're sorry. There are bigger concerns right now."
So I do want to get to some of the viewer questions.
Yes.
So I'm going to start with one we got from Omega Rider 1, who writes that, okay, it's a follow-up to our episode 159. Let me get exactly which that one was, because I don't remember the exact... I've got a rough feel for it because I'm looking at because of the email, but I want to double-check.
Okay.
Where is it? Okay. 59. God, we've done a lot of episodes. Uh, well, we were sort of talking about encounter styles in RPGs and some reasons why games can fall into one style of encounter. Uh, so I don't remember exactly the question that the guy asked, but so this is from, as I said, from Omega Writer. He mentions that he was a friend of the guy who wrote the question that inspired the episode, Mr. Jones. He joined his Iron Kingdoms group about a year ago, and done a few different campaigns since then. Most recently, it was a completely homebrewed setting within this continent that he DM'd. Coming off the campaign, you might subtitle this email, "Getting Good People to Do Bad Things." Campaign setting is known for sacrificing, enslaving other and outsider groups as ordained by a unifying religious and political philosophy. Oh boy. That is becoming unpopular in the current timeline, and is this very system that the party was tasked with assisting in. While it became clear that the party found it distasteful and openly acted against it, eventually the story turned interesting. The next mission I sent them out on started as a mundane missing persons case with spooky rumors surrounding it. However, as the group digs deeper, the more sinister the reality of the situation becomes. It's at the height of the investigation that the villain revealed himself to the group, trapping them in a reinforced room deep underground while he communicates remotely. He's devoutly religious and zealous about returning the setting to the height of its power through reformation and harnessing the power of ley lines through containment of powerful magical constructs that amplify magic. He particularly notes that sacrifices must be made to keep the gods strong, and with the waning popularity of sacrifices, the gods of the land grow weaker. Of course, it's going against everything the party believes in, but one of the party members, Ryan, as he's referred to, makes a semi-firm confirmation of working with him for the sake of not getting murdered. Mr. Jones' character is a member of a race that's typically sacrificed and is whisked away from the room through a Scooby-Doo-esque revolving bookcase. When the group catches up with the villain, he makes a spectacle in the center of the city as he intends on sacrificing Matt's character to show that his views are correct. The party intervenes, but the villain doesn't fight them. Instead, he forces Ryan's character to go against his core belief and sacrifices Matt's character, summoning a massive skeletal hydra from the bones beneath the city below, and confirming everything that he has stated up to this point. Those stories, I think it brings up a good topic surrounding the DMing and dynamic between them and players. As you know from the last time talking about the group, they're not the most adaptable when it comes to story-driven or character-driven campaigns, and tend to operate rather inflexibly during gameplay. However, this ended up working really well with them by putting Ryan in an uncomfortable situation that challenged him with his character challenged what his character was willing to do to survive. It made his character more believable and more human, despite being a bird person, and served as a point of contention within the party from that point forward. The too long didn't read is, do you have similar stories of campaigns where players were forced to make big moral decisions? Also, what tips do you have for DMs looking to run more story-heavy games? Yeah, I mean, moral decisions do come up in campaigns I've been involved in. Big moral decisions here and there. And they're often really interesting when handled right. You got to have the right group for them, I think. But they can be an excellent tool for dragging more reticent players who pull sort of aspects of their character that they're playing out that they may not know they're there.
Right. There have been a few times where I've been on the rare occasion playing the goody two shoes good guy, where my character's been forced to be more flexible in his morals than he'd like in the name of the greater good. There's the time we were playing in the Witchfire campaign for Iron Kingdoms, way back when it was just a 3.5 setting, D&D 3.5 setting. And I was playing a paladin. You know, paladin's upright and good. My character had a particular bug up his ass about the undead. Except there's a point where you have to work with the undead, not just a few undead, like a goddamn army of them, in order to defeat a greater evil. And yeah, that whole realization that this is wrong, this is bad, but I don't see another way to solve this bigger problem. And that kind of fucked up my character for a long time.
I can believe it.
And it was actually really cool. Well, not for the character, obviously, but for me playing him. Another example is in my current Shadowrun campaign, my vampire hunting or physical adept. Big ol' hatred for vampires. Like, serious, like, does not like vampires. Not a big deal, it's Shadowrun, vampires are Gribblies. But there comes a time where a vampire approaches the team for a job. And it's like, my initial thought is the character was like, yeah, we'll totally hear him out. And I have enough investigation and interrogation skill that I can probably ferret out enough information to put him down in a more advantageous place of my choosing. So yeah, we'll do that. So my job is I want you to kill all these other vampires. What? I've already prepared a dossier with all their information. What? I've done all the legwork for you. Oh, fuck you. And the vampire was smarter than me, so I didn't get enough information out of him to put him down either. Partially because the GM really wants to use that character again and does not want me to like derailing the entire campaign to murder one dog fucker.
I'm trying to think if I've thrown any big moral dilemmas at you guys in the games I've run with you in them.
I know it's happened a couple times. I know I've invented a couple.
Well, yeah.
But I can't think of any off the top of my head where you've thrown them at me.
Yeah.
Like when we were first doing the fourth ed for the first time in the Tuesday crew, and the whole soul eating friggin' sword. My character being like, that thing eats and destroys souls. Yup. That's the worst thing you can do. We should destroy that. Nope. The story is the Dragonborn fighter in the group, and a very clear set of honor. Like he wasn't above being a bad guy, but once he gave his word, he always kept his word. And on encountering, was he a vampire?
I think so, yeah.
The particular beef to pick with something we were going up against anyway, gives the Dragonborn with a great sword that destroys souls. We didn't know it destroyed souls at the time. We figured it out later. On the condition that he returns it to him when we are finished. And so, swear the oath, all yada yada, all that stuff comes just short of actually casting bees. And my character is playing a barbarian. I'm playing a barbarian prince who's got actually a lot more spiritual than immediately comes up.
Mm-hmm.
And was apparent. So killing people, that's fine. You're just returning them to the cycle. Cool, awesome. But that's not that big a deal, particularly if you do it on battle, because then they're guaranteed to go to the happy afterlife. That's just how it works. But the whole idea of destroying souls just squeaked him out entirely.
Uh-huh.
And everyone else is like, yeah, but they're bad people. on occasion, these are actual demons. You know that, right?
Yeah, but
you're destroying the souls of their minions. Yes, but when they die, they go to their demons where they're devoured to give him power anyway. We're actually denying our giant cosmic entities a valuable resource. But you're destroying the soul. It's getting destroyed anyway, but we're doing it, not them.
That sword was intended to be that sort of a problem, actually.
Yeah.
But yes. Maybe the Scepter in the Iron Kingdoms game? In the Khadorans?
Oh, right. Yeah. We should totally sell this. We should not sell this.
That was an interesting debate the party had.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any particular super moral quandaries, and there were several uncomfortable situations in the Star City game.
Yeah,
Like realizing that your best bet to deal with alien-controlled Apex was recruiting a supervillain,
yeah,
and specifically, probably the most powerful individual, one of the most powerful individual supervillains in the setting.
yes. There was that was less of an issue for Doc Arcane because he, bless his naive little heart. But she said she was going to be nice, so it's okay.
Well, to be fair with Superiana, she was sort of going through a transitional period to a certain degree.
Right.
But yeah, it'd been more of a problem with certain other villains. Like you didn't
Yes.
even think about approaching what's his bucket, Baron von Toten or Archon.
No, we absolutely not. Partially because, especially when the familial ties were revealed between Doctor Arcane and Baron von Toten, it's just nope, 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 nope.
What? That wouldn't have been a problem. But yeah, I don't think I threw any major moral quandaries at you during that one. I don't think. I don't remember. It's been a while, so.
Mm.
I mean, there are a few. I've had a few of them in games I played in. Often the case of choosing choosing between two evils of bad things to stop happening. There's one where we were the campaign I was playing, and I was playing the character Gabriel, whom I've mentioned a couple of times.
Mm.
And there's a villain group that was threatening the People's Choice Awards. A lot of stuff going on. And I tracked one of the villains down to the basement, where it turned out he had a dirty bomb down there on a timer. And basically, he made me an offer to basically say, okay, look, I'll give you the code to disarm the bomb, but you have to let me go. You can't you can't try to stop me. And I'm like, okay, give me the code. I mean, it's just like let one supervillain go, or let a bomb go. No. I also try to find a way to weasel my way out of it a little bit by basically saying, yeah, I promise I will not do anything to stop you from escaping. I totally promise I will not do anything. I will not let you escape the basement up through the roof. Nope, not at all. Thank God I'm on comms with the rest of my team. Hopefully one of them will stop you. Didn't say that part out loud.
They all heard your bullshit.
The cops were very pissed off with me for a brief moment until they realized what exactly I'd gotten the code to disarm. But that's that sort of thing pops up in a lot of superhero games.
Yeah.
I've found it's a good one. You've got a villain who's going to do really awful shit, but makes a deal with you that if a really awful thing that's about to happen, he can help you stop, but you got to let him go. And it's like but I want to stop this guy. He's a psychopathic murderer.
Yeah, he's a bad dude. Yeah, the whole, like, do I stop him and indirectly cause a whole bunch of deaths? Or do I let him go and allow, thereby giving the opportunity to cause a bunch more potential deaths? Like, where do you draw the line there? Like, how do you do that? That's a pretty classic superhero quandary.
Oh, absolutely. Mike, the character in question that got presented with it, that wasn't a hard decision for him.
Right.
It was literally just like, yeah, no, duh. This isn't a choice. But I've played characters where that would have been more difficult. That campaign as a whole was actually really interesting because virtually every player character in that had a very sort of Silver Agey ethos. And it was a very sort of, the rest of the world was very Iron Agey.
I don't think it would be a big deal for Doc Arcane, because he'd be like, well, clearly it's only potential death versus certain death. So there's the potential to save those lives. So clearly you can go.
Well, that was largely Gabe's rationale. But again,
right.
That was a really interesting campaign.
But Grog's another matter. Grog, yeah.
Yeah.
Grog probably would have gone with beating up the villain because the both options are bad, and therefore there is no. One lets him punch the fuck out of something.
And maybe somebody else can stop the bomb before it goes off.
Yes. Actually, you know what? Gorg might have been able to bury the bomb deep enough that it wouldn't have gotten out.
That's actually possible, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have tunneled your way down and buried it. Yeah, I could see that. That would have been the best solution for Gorg, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, as I said, though, I really enjoyed that campaign just for the dichotomy between the player character's ethos and the ethos of basically the world around them. And it's like, yeah, we're trying to bring back, like, actual good guys, and, like, almost all the other heroes are these very Iron Age-y, you know, classic Iron Age, you know, put the villains down sort of ethos. And we're like, no, that's wrong. And yes, of course we work with the police and try to help them out because that's the right thing to do.
Of course. Yeah.
Which for a while confused the hell out of the police. Like, we show up on a scene where something had happened, and, like, the police say, oh, great, the heroes are here, they're going to trample over the scene. We're like, no. Do your investigations. None of us are forensic scientists.
Do what you guys do. We'll point us in the direction of the thing we need to punch, and we'll go punch it.
We respect the police. You're the representatives of law and order. We're just guys who hit villains. I mean, we were more than that, but, you know.
Man, I want to play more of Gorg. It was lots of fun. The whole 3 or 4 sessions I got to do with him.
Yeah. But yeah, setting up situations like that, I agree. They're actually very, very useful to do at times. And running story-heavy games, basically the tips for running a story-heavy game, you basically have to plan out that you're going to do it from the get-go, honestly.
Yeah.
It's more a case of just putting in the work and setting things up and being ready to adapt to the player characters doing things you're not expecting. Because they're going to do things you're not expecting, and your story is going to have to adapt to it. It's just the way things are. I guess with the right group of people who are really willing to play along with what's going on, that's less of a problem.
Yeah, I mean, there's always... The problem with story-heavy campaigns is that your plot will not survive contact with the players. They're guaranteed to do something to throw everything out of whack. And being copacetic with that and flexible enough to steer it back in the direction you want they've got the villain.
Yeah, but you have to do it in a way that's doesn't feel railroady, because almost nothing irritates players more than going, and no.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of little things you can do to do that. I mean, again, I've talked about the sort of giving players the illusion of choice.
Yes.
Being a big trick. And, you know, being willing to sort of say, okay, well, the player characters have, you know, assumed that, you know, this character, like, the characters are, you know, ignoring this thing which is leading to the actual bad guy. Well, we'll move the bad guy to the area they're going, so that they are actually going down the track towards the bad guy still. And we'll just change who the bad guy actually is, as long as it makes some sense. As I said, leaving yourself options so that you can do that sort of thing is big.
Yeah.
Really big. Again, as I said, I think the biggest piece of advice I got for that is be ready to be flexible with your story and your characters, because you don't have full control over the protagonists, who are the player characters.
They're going to do something either profoundly stupid, or nonsensical, or will accidentally twig on exactly what needs to be done to short circuit the entire plot.
Yep.
This will happen. It has happened.
Yep. And, you know, again, it's you can't plan for everything. I mean, it's a classic case of, you know, it's collaborative storytelling is what it boils down to. And sometimes the players just aren't that interested in the story you're telling. So you've got to be ready to adapt to that too. Like, you may have an idea for a great epic story arc, and the players turn out like, yeah, we're not really. Like, they end up doing something else that they're much more interested in. Adapt to it. see if you can work what they're more interested in into your big story, or adapt your big story to what they're doing, or what have you. Uh, and giving players no-win choices can be brilliant. But it's got to be the right. Some players really hate that. Just as a warning.
Yeah.
Like, I know there are a lot of players who just that's almost a deal breaker for some players. So you got to be prepped for that. It's no-win choices are great, but for some players, it's not necessarily the best thing, and for some settings, they don't work as well either. Honestly. But yeah, I hope that helps. And if you want more sort of concrete stuff on that, let us know, and we'll see if more specific questions on it. I'd be more than happy to answer that in more detail if you've got more sort of structured questions for it. As a reminder for our live audience, if you guys have questions you'd like to ask us while we're doing this, feel free to ask in the chat. We can try to get to you. We got a couple emails from Bardic DM, also more of them from him.
Cool.
One of them was rewatching the 3 Minute Anime podcast and was wondering what system would we use for making a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure campaign. I know what the answer to that is for me, but curious to what you'd say.
I would have to say Feng Shui, because Feng Shui encourages that kind of bizarre, off-the-wall craziness.
Yeah.
And it's simple and flexible enough that you can concentrate more on why you have tentacles that spout burning blood on your enemies, and less on the actual mechanics of it.
I would agree with you for parts 1 and 2 definitively. You haven't gotten to everything past part 2 yet.
No, I haven't started on 3. It's on my list of shit I need to watch.
Right, and the stands change things up a fair bit. My gut feeling is Hero System, just because it has the flexibility to do all the bizarre, weird shit that is doable in JoJo's. So that's where I would go, but I can also very easily see, Feng Shui would be great for basically for anything prior to the stands, I think. And even then, you could probably adapt some of the stand stuff to Feng Shui mechanics. God, I think you're leaning, and as a general rule of thumb, I think you're going to want to lean towards most of the more generic systems as opposed to setting specific ones.
Yeah, GURPS springs to mind because again, it's I don't know, maybe not GURPS.
I don't know. It's tough. Like, I agree with you that like the cinematic combat aspects of Feng Shui would work very well with it. And for large chunks of it, I think the just sort of just wing it attitude of Feng Shui would be a big help. But
right,
there are aspects of it that I think actually need more concrete mechanics. I think it boils down to preference for the players in the group too. Like if the players you're playing with are the type who actually like sort of crunchy mechanics heavy games, then Hero System is definitively the choice, I think.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
I think it depends entirely on your group.
I mean, the advantage is I could tell you right now how to build von Stroheim.
Oh, yeah. In Feng Shui, yeah.
I mean, he's got a machine gun in his belly. How awesome is that?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff especially in
rocket fist. He's got rocket fists.
Yeah, battle tendency would actually adapt very well to Feng Shui, I think. Stardust Crusader would be trickier, but doable.
Guy by throwing him out of a volcano into orbit.
You like battle tendency a lot, didn't you, Eric?
I really do. It's so off the wall, insane, crazy. It's great. I'm going to fire my crossbow so the ball rolls along the edge of the friggin' arena, bounces off a pillar, and then hits you.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you could probably do JoJo's with almost any superhero system, to be totally honest.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Mutants or Masterminds would do it fine, too.
But how else could you have a severed head use its own hair to fire itself out of a crossbow at someone you don't like?
You could do that with Hero.
Yeah, but I more just wanted to mention that friggin' kick-ass awesomeness.
got one from Zent the First. What is the weirdest place you've taken inspiration from for a game? For example, he used song lyrics for a lot of stories and characters, for example, which is neat. Uh, weirdest place I've taken inspiration from for a game?
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I take inspiration from a lot of different places. Is the thing. So
Yeah, I mean, trying to think off the top of my head. Like, everything ends up being a gestalt of a bunch of other things.
that's
The thing.
same for
Yeah,
me. But
like hmm.
I mean,
I
like
mean, drawing inspiration from a couple of fever dreams, but I feel like everyone draws inspiration from fever dreams or acid or bad nightmares or whatever. I mean, it's just a given.
yeah. I mean, I draw inspiration from a lot of books and movies and comic books and TV shows that I've watched. I've never really done much from. That's not true. I have drawn on songs before. I had an entire supervillain sort of villain story arc based around Iron Man, by Iron Maiden, not Iron Man.
Black Sabbath.
Black Sabbath. That's it. Thank you. That involved a superhero who had been frozen into a statue that they built. They'd use his frozen. He was a guy made out of metal, basically. Who had
Right.
been turned into an Iron Man who'd been following the story, and everyone thought he was dead. He wasn't, and they used his his body as a memorial. They built a memorial around his frozen body, and then one day the statue was gone, and he'd gone kind of mad in the time being. Again, I freely admit I stole that whole like part and parcel right from Iron Man, and
I've made characters and then realized later they had perfect theme songs. Um, like last week we were talking about old games. Greg from the Farscape game. His theme song was pretty much "Son of a Gun" from KMFDM, because he was dumb as a stump and only really knew how to kill shit. And thought of himself a hero despite not being one at all.
right. I mean, like, the song lyric thing is something I don't generally think of, but watching JoJo's sort of drives the point on that. Yeah, you can do a lot with song lyrics and song titles and artists.
Yes.
So yeah. Honestly,
AC/DC is the best Pillar Man.
I knew you'd like AC/DC a lot.
AC/DC's fucking amazing. He's such a giant ball of crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm struggling to come with anything particularly. I think part of the problem for me is I don't think any one thing is a particularly weird place to draw inspiration from for an RPG, for RPG stuff. Honestly, because
Yeah.
I think everything's fair game largely.
Yeah, I mean, really mundane things that happen at work or walking down the street. Yeah, extrapolate that out and boom, plot for a session or two.
Oh yeah, I've
Or an idea behind a character, that kind of thing.
news stories.
Yep.
Honestly, I'm certain you could take a lot of what's going on in the news these days to do an excellent Shadowrun or Cyberpunk campaign.
Yes.
Um,
Or a
yeah.
Call of Cthulhu game.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to another question. Another lengthy one. This one's again from Bardic DM. He sent me a couple of emails. Great. Recently started working in a superhero world and wasn't sure if including aliens would overcrowd the setting. Listening to your super brainstorming session, so using terminology from that, it's Reconstruction Age world so far, mainly using magic and super science. 1960s, large particle accelerator was activated near London and goes haywire due to unexpected component, ambient mana, which was at an all-time high due to arcane confluence. The accelerated particles react with the mana, creating a dimensional breach, which releases strange new energy into the world. This energy permeates the world and bonds to the manosphere. Following this change, there are three major developments: the resurgence of magical races, the development of new clean energy industry, and most importantly, metastorms, random spikes of arcane and extra-dimensional energy, which bestows various superpowers and mutations on those in the surrounding area. So there's the basis for the setting. So I'm trying to decide if adding aliens would overcrowd the themes, and if not, whether they should already have interacted with the Earth, leaning toward the super science that led to the 60s version of the Large Hadron Collider, or if they should arrive after that. Also, in regards to established themes, I have, besides basic heroes, partially because I have you guys in the background, there are super intelligent gorillas on both sides, trolls and other fake creatures, and plenty of mechs and power armor. Also, because some art I found, there's definitely a cyborg ninja baboon who works with an evil-powered armored panda.
That sounds fucking amazing.
So what do you think? Aliens or no aliens? I don't think you need aliens.
I don't think you need aliens, but one of the advantages of such an off-the-wall setting as your average superhero campaign is that nothing's really off the table.
I would agree with that, absolutely.
Like if you want to throw aliens in there, awesome. Sounds cool. If you want to have it all be a cutting plot by mole men and their Shoggoth allies, that also sounds great.
Yeah. Like, seriously, what you've got there, I don't think you need aliens. Whether they'd overcrowd it or not, I don't know. Honestly, my gut feeling is if you were going to include aliens, I would go with a more pulpy feel aliens than traditional sci-fi. Like, we're talking like, the tripods from, War of the Worlds, or,
Every setting can benefit from Martian war tripods.
Or, any of the sort of the more alien stuff from, like, the 40s and 50s. Having Boscone and the Lensman from Dr. E. Smith's Lensman series show up would fit well into that.
Yes. Yes, also involving aliens means you can do the whole, like, cosmic weirdness, let's fly around in space for a while storyline. Easily.
Yep.
Whether it's as Green Lanterns or as the Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever.
But again, I wouldn't do that that's the sort of thing I would work on after I know what the player characters are going to be interested in doing.
Yes.
Like, if it feels like it would fit in well with the player characters, then go for it, abso-fucking-lutely.
Excuse me.
But again, he's in the chat too. So more John Carter than Star Trek? Yes. Yes. 1,000 times yes.
1,000 times yes. Because John Carter also lets you have 4 armed white apes of doom.
But yeah, I definitely think, like, the reason I mentioned Lensman is the Lensmen were one of the major inspirations for the Green Lantern Corps.
Yep.
So something equivalent, like the equivalent of that showing up would be kind of interesting. By the way, if you have not read Dr. E. Smith's Lensman books, they're worth a read. They're a bit dated at this point. They're written in the 40s. But there's a lot of really cool stuff you can mine from those. It's a really interesting setting. Honestly, almost anything Dr. E. Smith wrote is worth reading and mining for campaign ideas. Because, dear Lord, that man's stuff is weird and interesting. I'm an unapologetic fan of Lensman and his other stuff. Even if the anime adaptation is special.
But that would mean bad.
Oh yeah. But yeah, like, seriously, like, at some point, if you need to shake things up in the campaign, have Martian tripods land on Earth and start blowing shit up with heat rays. I mean,
yeah,
that'll shake things up in a hurry, and it'll be kind of awesome. Okay, kind of awesome is not the right word. It'll be awesome. But yeah, the cyborg ninja baboon working with the evil power armored panda,
that's amazing.
Yes.
That's just great.
I mean, power armored panda. I mean, you're talking to the guy who had Battle Bear in one of his Supers campaigns. I mean, who was a hyper-intelligent circus bear who built his own power suit. I mean,
Which is great.
and went off to fight crime while leaving a robot duplicate of himself behind the circus so that the kids wouldn't miss him. I'm not kidding. This happened. This is in one of my campaigns. I love that character. Battle Bear is one of my favorites. Battle Bear was the fucking best. The best part about Battle Bear, honestly, was for the player as a player character was it's the classic. Okay, look, it's a dude in a battle suit. It's a dude in a bear-themed battle suit. This is fine. I will get him out of his battle suit, disable it, so he won't be able to do anything, and he'll just be some nerdy guy who's driving the battle suit. Why is it a European? Why is it a brown bear? Why is it a bear?
Why isn't it an actual fucking? God damn, I hate my life.
He's out of the suit and roar. What? That's not just some random scientist. That's a bear. It's a European black bear. What the ever living? Ah! A bear that's as smart as a dude who. No, that was Danny Mandel's character, Dan.
Battle Bear was yeah.
Battle Bear is one of my favorite superheroes I've had in any campaign I've run.
The stories of Battle Bear just warm my heart.
And I've since used Battle Bear in a bunch of my campaigns as an NPC because I love Battle Bear and I refuse to let him die because he's the best.
Battle Bear sure likes honey.
Yes. Yeah, he had a computer translator that would translate his thoughts and speak for him because he couldn't speak because he was a bear. But the translator had a mind of its own, so it didn't always translate the exact thoughts Battle Bear wanted. So it would occasionally editorialize and such.
It was just always funny.
Yes. Battle Bear was the best. But yeah, again, seriously, the suit didn't really augment his strength. It didn't need to. He was a bear.
Just give him laser hands.
He didn't really have laser hands. He had blasters and shit.
Right.
I think it had some augmented claws and such, but he was primarily a blaster. It gave him armor. It let him jump and fly and shit, and gave him ranged attacks. And then he could pummel stuff with his bear strength. And his strikes hurt more because he's wearing armor as opposed to just normal bear claws. Battle Bear was the best.
Everybody loves Battle Bear.
And if you don't, you're wrong.
This is true.
But yeah, let's see if we got any other questions. But yeah, seriously though, adding aliens, as I said, I don't think you need them at all. That setting has enough stuff to do in it as it goes. But if you find yourself in a position to that the campaign needs shaking up, an alien invasion almost never hurts in any superhero game.
This is true.
That's what I found.
It's also the fact that it's a superhero game. You just go nuts.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, again, there are definite reasons to keep thematic stuff limited. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
But one of the big advantages of a superhero setting is that it definitely opens you up to weird shit.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about superhero settings is the degree of freedom involved.
Yes. I would agree with that completely.
There is no weird shit that is not made better by more weird shit in a superhero game.
For the most part, I agree with you. I'm certain I can think of superhero settings where adding aliens would not actually add much of anything, or might be detrimental. But that's.
I guess powers.
Yeah, something like powers. Again, more limited street level stuff. I think. If you're aiming for a street level sort of gritty game, that might not Alien Invasions. If your campaign setting is more similar to Batman the Animated Series, and you're not intending to include anything else from like the DC universe. You're just sort of the Batman animated series is the extent of what superheroes are like and supervillains
Yeah.
are like. Then alien invasions or transdimensional beings don't really fit with it thematically. But
Although you can do rogue AIs and their replicant minions, which was a theme of a particular
yes,
episode.
but again, I'm talking about but again, you're gonna want to have things be a little bit less over the top and weird for that. There's plenty of weirdness in it as is, you know. But
Yeah,
again,
for example, like immortal anarchist cult leaders and his army of
assassins.
Middle Eastern ninjas.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, again, like if you're focusing on a city, extra-dimensional threats are less. You know, they don't fit in as well unless you're really focusing on what the effects of the alien invasion type thing, or the incursion of aliens, or the arrival of aliens has on that city. Like it depends on what scale you're focusing on. I think is what it really boils down to. Because you know, again, scale and scope matters a lot. Yeah, I would be.
I think we're repeating ourselves at this point.
Yeah, yeah. I would say in my instinct would be yeah, sure, whatever, go for it. But it depends on the game. Let's see. Do we have any other questions that need to be that we haven't answered yet? No, 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 no. Hugh Smith asked, how's the mech game I was working on going? I haven't been working on it for a while. And has Eric given any thought to playing Predation, the Cypher system setting?
The what system setting?
Cypher system. I have no idea.
I don't know anything about it. So the answer is no. But that does not mean I am not interested in finding out.
Right. Let's see. Captain Freetime asked us to talk about what the strengths and weaknesses of each edition of D&D. We talked a bit about that in a previous podcast, I think.
Yeah, and neither of us have played 5th edition yet, so there's tough to talk about that when there's a whole edition we haven't done.
Yeah.
And it's the current one. Because this is one case where the title is totally true.
Yep. Apparently Predation has people riding T-Rexes with lasers.
That sounds like the best thing I've ever heard. Are the T-Rexes also wearing power armor? Is this just Dino Riders? Because if it's just Dino Riders, I'm on board.
Let's see. I think we covered that one before. No, we covered that one before. Just make sure. I'm just going through the old emails and such to make sure we didn't miss anything.
Jesus Christ, this setting looks amazing.
Got a bunch of suggestions for brainstorming things, which we'll hit at some point probably.
We'll definitely run our way down through those at some point.
So yeah, unless the chat's got questions, we'll probably just sort of talk about shit for a little bit longer.
Sure.
Just looking at the Predation link, and yeah, that is the art that they're showing is about as Eric a game as possible, short of giving people power armor. Also,
I'm pretty sure it can be done. I mean, they've got lasers. Can I wear power armor while riding a T-Rex with my friggin' laser lance?
Well, the T-Rex is wearing power armor and has laser cannons.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah.
While also being an orc.
I figured that would show up at some point. Knowing Eric, which I do. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's it for the questions we've got right now that we've gotten by email and such.
Cool.
Uh, Favorite dinosaurs?
Oh, well, there's the Deinonychus, which is just the bigger, cooler version of the raptor,
Yep,
the Velociraptor, because the Velociraptor is basically just an angry chicken.
it's a bit bigger than that, but yeah.
um, I mean, this big old Rex who's just awesome, and his older, smaller brother, the Allosaurus, who has longer, actual functioning arms.
Yep.
But I think I'm gonna have to go with the Ankylosaurus, just because. Just imagine them being so surly.
The ankylosaur.
Yeah, it's basically an angry, pissed off turtle that doesn't want to be fucked with, but you're gonna fuck with it because of course you are. Which is why he's got a goddamn warhammer on his ass.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a favorite dinosaur. Like I don't remember what my favorite dinosaur. Like I certain I had one when I was a kid because I love dinosaurs and dinosaurs are awesome. But I don't remember what it was anymore. I don't really have one anymore. Like it's like yeah, T-Rex is cool.
Right.
The various forms of of raptors were cool. I was always I was a bit partial to the Allosaurs. I agree.
Yep.
And of the herbivore ones, I would say I was more of a Triceratops guy than an Ankylosaur.
Triceratops is a perfectly respectable dinosaur. Yeah.
Um,
At least it's not the Apatosaurus.
well, yeah.
Prey animal sore.
I admit, in my older age, I've become more interested in uh, the things that aren't technically dinosaurs because I get they're relatives, but like the stuff that lived in the oceans, like the plesiosaurs and the mosasaurs, I think are really interesting and kind of abjectly terrifying.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, there is a fair amount of coolness about that. There's also the all the stuff from the Cambion explosion, like the
Yep.
bizarre friggin' nigh Lovecraftian variety of crazy ass sea life.
yeah, yeah, I got a lot of love in my heart for the mosasaurs, though. I gotta say,
There's something to be said about a giant fuck off alligator.
I mean,
That's also a dolphin.
mosasaurs are fucking scary. Jesus freaking Christ!
Half dolphin, half alligator. All fuck you.
And gigantic.
Yes, they were not small.
Ooh. Almost nothing was at that point. There's a part of me that also has a bit of a love for the pterosaurs, also, just because
Yep, pterosaurs are all pretty cool.
because they fly, and that's cool.
Yeah. There was one that ate fish. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like its face is basically just a bunch of like fangs sticking out at weird angles. The whole idea was it would like get the fish between them and snap it shut, and they were angled in such a way that it couldn't escape.
Right. That's neat.
Yeah.
But yeah, like honestly, the answer to what is my favorite dinosaur, it's like yeah, dinosaurs are kind of just awesome in general. So
Yeah, they're dinosaurs.
They're giant
how
fuck
do you
off
not
lizards.
love dinosaurs.
They're kind of awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if you could stop me from making a guy riding around on a Tyrannosaur.
If it was even remotely allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you turn that down? The answer is you don't.
I admit, I think in some ways, Triceratops might make a better mount, but I see the merits of the Tyrannosaur definitely. I mean,
I think
Triceratops plus ramming speed equals hilarity.
Yeah, plus you've got that big friggin' frill of bone that you can hide behind.
Yep.
I mean, from a purely logical point of view, yes, the Triceratops is the better choice. But if we're riding dinosaurs, we're going for full-on batshit insane awesome, which means Tyrannosaur all the way.
I have a hard time arguing with you, honestly. But yeah, I admit I went to the Triceratops just because the D&D camp for the first D&D third edition campaign I played in, where the Dwarven Paladin group ended up with a rhinoceros mount,
Awesome.
which was kind of awesome.
Oh, briefly. So I've been playing Elder Scrolls Online. I subbed for a little while because why not?
Yep.
Um, I recently, through my stipend, ended up with enough in-store cash to get both the any race, any alliance. So that's awesome. Plus a bear mount, which means I am now an orc Viking riding a bear.
I have a hard time arguing with that being completely awesome.
All of your arguments are invalid.
It's pretty freaking awesome. I can't argue against that. Like, as much as, like, the orc part is awesome, like, you have me at Viking riding bear. I mean, just...
Yes. I mean, come on. How do you argue with that? You don't. That's how.
Like, I'm not sure how it gets much better than that, to be completely honest.
Everybody's wearing power armor?
I guess?
Although you start running into the problem of, like, space wolves riding space wolves.
Yeah, but that's why it's a bear, not a wolf. I mean...
That's true. Maybe that will be my Space Marine army. They're totally not space wolves, space bears.
See? Okay, yeah. Well, we could prove it by being a werebear yourself. Maybe.
Yeah. Do they have werebears? I know I could become a werewolf in ESO. So yeah, I guess an orc Viking werewolf riding a bear.
Yeah. I think werebears are much cooler than werewolves, though.
Yes, but bears are not an option.
I know.
As far as I know.
Yeah.
And honestly, were-rats are cooler than both of them.
I disagree.
No, because then you could be a friggin' like Skaven, but you can disguise yourself as human. And then you pull out your friggin' radioactive chain gun. Everything's awesome.
But the problem is that were-rats aren't inherently Skaven, Eric. I'm sorry.
All humanoid rodents are Skaven. That is the way the universe works.
Uh-huh. Sure. All right.
You give the option to be a humanoid rodent, then I'll be a Skaven. That is how it works.
Uh-huh. At any rate, I think we've run the course at this point.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for the questions. We love getting those. I hope we helped out, and if you've and honestly, if you've got if we answer one of your questions during this, and you want clarifications or inspired further questions, etc., then email us more. We love it. If we didn't answer your question enough, let us know. We really appreciate that sort of stuff. So yeah, we try to save the time at the end of each episode for questions, but if we go long enough without having time, or we forget, or we're dumb, most likely we talk too long and forget about getting to the questions. Email us. We'll do like we occasionally do entire shows on it. Let us know. Our email address is surlygrognards@yahoo.com, surlygrognards @yahoo.com. Or if you're listening to us on YouTube, leave a comment in the comment section. We keep an eye on that too. If you got feedback for us, ways we can make the show better, or just constructive criticism in general, or if you have show topic suggestions, dear God, we love those.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of campaign brainstorming suggestions, but more of those are great. Or if you got topics we'd like to cover, you'd like us to cover, let us know. I mean, we've covered a lot of stuff over the several years we've been doing this now.
That doesn't mean we can't rehash things on occasion.
Oh yeah,
particularly if we have new information.
Absolutely, and if it's been a long time since we've done something, going back to it's not a bad thing at all. And sometimes our opinions and stuff change. So But yeah, so
it's almost as though we're capable of taking in new information and forming new opinions about it.
That's clearly impossible, Eric.
You're right. We'll never get around in politics.
No, we'd be the worst. At any rate, that's going to do it for this week, though, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for listening to us. We hope you guys enjoyed the show, got some useful information out of it, or what have you. We'll be back probably next week with more Grognards tomfoolery. I don't know what we'll be talking about yet. But either way, guys, thank you for listening. And until we guys see you next, be happy, be safe, keep on gaming, guys, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, humans.